Welcome. I am the 9mm Atheist. On today's episode, I want to talk about life ain't fucking easy. And shit worth having doesn't come free. You know, I constantly see this, and I think it ties in with religion a lot, to be honest with you, because I think there's an innate human trait that, you know, we just want everything easier. We want everything better. We want... And then, man, I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it, but there is no quick fix. There is no simple solution. You can eat all this super fruit you want to eat. It isn't going to make you any healthier. Well, it might. It'll make you healthier to an extent. Healthier than eating McDonald's. But it is not a cure-all. It is not the simplest. It's not the easiest solution. It's not. My grandmother ate healthy and died of cancer. She ate healthy. She was mostly a vegetarian who ate fish and chicken on occasion. Ate healthy, went on walks, did all kinds of healthy activities, and she still died of cancer. Don't get it in your head. Just get rid of the idea that there's a quick fix for everything. That there's an easy solution to all things, because there really isn't. It doesn't exist. Life is hard. And in all honesty, if life wasn't hard, it would not be any fun. If it wasn't for the hard shit we have to do in our lives, we would never really learn to appreciate the good, happy shit in our lives. We, as a species, I like to think, and mostly as an American culture, always want the easiest path with the least resistance, and that is just not logical. It is not even remotely feasible. Life is hard. Life comes with hard decisions. And I think this falls into the religious category too, where I think the biggest reason people subjugate themselves to a god or gods is because it's easier than looking at real life. It's easier to give all your problems away to something than it is to actually have to face them and deal with them. And I think that's woefully misleading. I think it's a self-lie that, well, this will just make my life this much easier. No, it really won't. It does not make your life easier. And I love my wife. My wife loves me. And I know she does. For an absolute fact, I know my wife loves me. And you can ask me how I know for a fact, with no doubt in my mind, that my wife loves me. In 2012, I was diagnosed with a rare form of kidney disease called anti-GBM disease. It is a mutated or off. There's two versions of it. The original full-blown version is called good pasture syndrome. That is where your own immune system attacks the filters in your lungs and in your kidneys. And it was discovered by a Dr. Goodpasture. I don't remember where, somewhere, I think north of South Carolina, I don't remember exactly. And it was like early 1900s, I think it was discovered. I think 1918, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. And that was the full-blown version. I had gotten the mutated version of that disease called anti-GBM disease, where all it does is attack the filters in my kidneys. And I was diagnosed March 20th, 2012. I was actually sick, pretty wicked sick, for about a month, 3 weeks to a month before that. And when I was sick for about 2 weeks before I went to see any doctor for it. And they thought it might have been just diabetes. Well, turns out that wasn't what it was. Turns out it was anti-GBM disease. So I was diagnosed March 20, 2012, and I was considered, what was it, acute kidney failure? By September of 2012, I was chronic kidney failure. My kidneys were dead. There was no saving them. Dialysis, plasmapheresis, nothing. Nothing was going to stop. Oh, yeah, prednisone and a number of other drugs for regulating blood pressure and all kinds of other shit. By September, my kidneys were dead. There was no coming back. And that November, me and my current wife got together. I mean, I've known her all of my life. And I had spent all of that time from March to November, or September actually. We step back a little bit. In September, I was moved to chronic. But I've known my wife all that time. We have been friends, family friends, since I was like 6 years old. And I was given that diagnosis where my kidneys were done. And I think it was like a week or two later, I moved from one town to another town to be closer to family. And I'd gone 4 days without dialysis. And potassium had built up in my system to the extent that it actually tried to stop my heart. The doctor at the ICU in Rochester, Minnesota at Mayo Clinic said if I'd have been 5 minutes later, I would have flatlined. Because my EKG was just right about there. And I got actually Mayo 1 helicopter ride from Owatonna, Minnesota to Rochester, Minnesota. And so I came very close to dying. It was probably around that time that I seriously contemplated suicide. But keep in mind, I'm not and never have been a suicidal person. I don't agree with suicide. I think it's woefully selfish, and it's not an answer to any problem. It's basically saying I quit, and I'm not a quitter. And so I was so miserable, and I was in so much pain pretty much constantly. I was full of fluid from the foods that I would eat, from the small sips of water I would use to take medication. I just was full of fluid, and that's part of what dialysis does. It pulls fluid and toxins out of your body through your blood. It also pulls nutrients, protein, and other shit out of your blood. So it's a pretty rough existence. Dialysis does cause physical discomfort and pain, and I was miserable. Migraines that would last for days on end. And I was seriously contemplating suicide. Well, at that very same time, my wife had ended a relationship. And because she was such a family friend, like I couldn't sleep laying down, so I would sleep in a recliner on the main floor right next to my parents' bedroom. Because if something bad happened, I needed them to know it, and we needed to go to the hospital. And I couldn't sleep laying down flat on a mattress because it was difficult to breathe. So my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she slept upstairs in the second story. And I went through all that. I woke up in the ICU, and it was about 2 weeks after the ICU, about a week after I had seriously contemplated suicide, and I had been thinking about it the whole time, where me and her had started talking. And I had admitted to her that I've had a crush on her since I was 6. So literally, I had a crush on this woman for 24 years. And 26 years. Oh, whatever. And we came to the conclusion that maybe we should give it a shot, because I didn't have much longer to live. We had both come to that conclusion that I was... the doctors had given me a 3 to 5 year span on dialysis based on my age. And I had come to the conclusion that I was going to die, and that she wanted to be there with me as that happened. And she had already, before this, offered to give me a kidney. So I did. I was on dialysis for another, I suppose, I don't know how long, all the way until October 4th of 2013. About a year and a half of dialysis. Total. From March 20th to 2013. March 20th, 2012 to October 4th, 2013. October 4th of 2013, my wife donated a kidney to me. We weren't married at the time yet. But she understood something that at the time I hadn't quite learned. I mean, I would say it, but I didn't really understand it. And that is, everything we do in this life is work. You want your relationship to last. You have to work at it. It's not easy. And my wife made a huge sacrifice towards our long-lasting relationship. With the knowledge that she loved me and that she knew unequivocally that I loved her. And that we could make this work, and we would make it work no matter how hard we had to work at it. And she made a hell of a sacrifice for me. And that is how I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, unequivocally, that my wife loves me. And it was August 9th of 2014, we got married. And we have been together ever since. And I'm on anti-rejection medication. I take twice a day. I actually have to take a dose here in a few minutes. If you want to hang out with me for that. And I was a mess. Kind of, growing up, I couldn't barely hold a fucking job because I had my ideals, and my ideals came before making a living. It was my wife who helped me to discover, and I might have been a slow bloomer, I might even be a fucking idiot, but it was my wife who helped me discover that life takes work. I wanted a Harley Davidson. I've always wanted a motorcycle. And it never, I don't know why it didn't occur to me that I had to work my ass off to get that, and I did. And because I've worked so hard recently, since I got off of dialysis, since the transplant, because I've put so much effort into this, I just traded a 98 Dyna-Super Glide for an 07 Ultra Glide. Because I needed a more comfortable bike. I wanted a more comfortable bike. And so, the hard work that I've done, the hard work that my wife does. My wife's a workaholic. Like, she just is a busy person. Even if she's not at work, she's always doing something. Her most favorite thing to do, her hobby, is quilting. And she just recently started doing that again. And so her hobby is technically work. Everything is work. Nothing comes easy. Shit isn't just given to us. And in the rare cases where it is, the person who's given everything ends up being a really shitty person. Case in point, that fuckface Brock down in Florida or wherever the fuck he was. He got caught red-handed trying to rape a woman and got off, basically, as far as I'm concerned, scot-free doing it. He's a fucking shitty person. He is a world-class piece of shit. He never had to work for shit in his life. He never understood what it was. He's a fucking spoon-fed white boy. Born with a fucking silver spoon in his ass, doesn't know shit about the world. And I'll judge his ass till hell freezes over. And anybody who has an alternative, you want to comment to the other side of that, be my guest. You get in the comment section of this fucking video and you advocate for rape, and you explain that to me in detail, how it's okay to rape somebody. Because otherwise, fuck off. I will not apologize for being an asshole to somebody that shitty. Fuck him. Moving on. Donald Trump is another one, man. He's another perfect fucking example of somebody who has no idea what hard work is. The fact that blue-collar America voted for this fucker is beyond me. This motherfucker's never done his own laundry, never washed his own dishes. I don't think this man has ever even cooked his own food. How the fuck would he know what it's like to be a blue-collar worker in America, making promises that fucker can't ever keep? He ain't a hard-working nothing. He didn't work at shit. He just got lucky. So there are a few exceptions to the rule, but again, it shows in his personality. It shows that he is not a quality human being. He is a fucking douchebag. And I said when I started this channel, when I restarted this channel, that I won't attack people as much as I attack ideas. Unless the person I'm talking about is a really shitty fucking person. And honest to God, Donald Trump is a fucking prick. That Brock kid is a fucking prick. We have to work for the things we want in this life. Whether that be fun, whether that be whatever it is, love, everything requires work. Getting your ass out of bed requires work. Seeing the world, noticing colors, and all of it is work. Your eyeballs are working. Breathing is working. Heart pumping is working. Every fucking thing we do is work. Even vacation. Vacation I want to go on. I want to go on one of those cruises down to the Bahamas that has a fucking rock wall. Think I'm going to spend my time sitting on a fucking... I'll spend half of my time sitting on a goddamn lawn chair on a fucking boat drinking Bahama Mamas, getting shit-faced just because I can. But I will spend the other half of my time doing activities, working, rock ball, or whatever the fuck else I can get my hands on. I also figured out when I was sick that I haven't seen or done shit really in my life. I've spent the vast majority of my life in Minnesota. I've lived in Missouri, I've lived in North Dakota. I haven't really traveled, man. I've never been to California. I've only seen the ocean once in my life, and that's because I had no concept or premise of work ethic. Well, it wasn't the work that pissed me off. I could work. It was how companies treat their employees that pissed me off. Oh, you can't have piercings, or you can't show tattoos. I have been fired from a job for having showing tattoos. I have walked off of jobs because they told me that I couldn't have my piercings in. The job denies you the right to be the individual. And that for a long time I couldn't get past that. I've gotten past it. You know why? Because now I have a fucking Harley. Now if I want to, I can set aside some money and take my wife on a cruise. And I'm not selling out because, hey, I found a job that doesn't give a fuck about my tattoos or piercings. I mean, it took work to find it. It took a lot of work. I had to go to school for truck driving. So, you know, you find something that works for you and you make it work, but you have to work at it. Nothing worth having comes easy. Nothing. And there is no quick fucking fix. There is no cure-all fucking for the disease. Find me a goddamn cure-all for a fucking common cold. Seriously. Get a head cold and find me something that'll fix that shit instantly. Doesn't fucking exist. And I hear about people like Tim Wolf, or whoever that fuckhead is, selling people a magical goddamn cure that doesn't exist. Talking about bullshit mushrooms in space. What the fuck is wrong with him? Oh, he's a fucking con artist, and he's working your ass over. Or trying to. I imagine anybody who's really going to watch this channel is going to be mostly atheist. You guys know better. You ain't fucking around with that shit, I would hope. Because I like to believe that atheism leads to skepticism, or skepticism is what leads you to atheism. Either way, you're a fucking skeptic. And you ain't going to fall for just some dumb bullshit. But that's what this video is. This video is nothing comes easy and there is no quick fix. And you shouldn't expect it. What you should expect is to have to work for it. Because when you work for it, it means that much more to you. If somebody had just given me a Harley Davidson, I'm not sure I would have respected that situation as in the same way that I respect the fact that I have to pay for that fucking thing. That I'm going to take damn good care of it because I want it to last. Because I'm not expecting I'm not expecting somebody to just give me a fucking Harley. And I love riding my bike, man. It was 50 fucking degrees this morning, got up, rode that shit. And I'll ride that fucker home. I've ridden that bike every day except yesterday because up here it was raining like cats and dogs for half the day. But even enjoying my bike comes with work. I gotta balance it. I gotta be safe with it. I gotta be paying attention to my surroundings. This is work, and I still enjoy riding my fucking bike. We gotta stop it with this pseudoscience, nonsensical bullshit that there's a cure-all, easy way out of everything fucking line of... I mean, I swear to God, it's not just fear, I think. I think fear is a huge part of it. I think fear and pain motivate human beings or humanity more than anything else in the world. But there's also this sense of getting the quick and the easy. Of not having to do the work. Of not having to take the time. And I think that's a serious problem. And with the advancement of certain technologies, it's just reinforcing it. Companies moving away from hiring people and using automated robots to do things. Now, I've worked in companies like that. There's a company up here in Minnesota called, well, now it's Quad Graphics. It used to be called Brown Printing. And they installed a lot of automated systems. They have automated forklift systems in that fucking factory, and all in the name of making shit easier. In the process, they're fucking over the people they laid off for that position. And I can't say I'm anti-science and anti-technology. I love the fact that they're doing this. It's kind of a double-edged sword. I like my firearms. I have to work for them. And with having and owning firearms, as much as I love them and enjoy them, I also have to work with them. I have to clean them after I shoot them. I have to tear them down into little pieces, clean them up, and put them back together. I have to maintain my firearms in order to have fun with them. So even that involves work. And that makes it worth it. In the sense that work gives you the things you want in life, the ends justify the means. And these people looking for this easy out, this quick and easy, fix-it-all fucking solutions have a very unrealistic worldview. And I think that's something we need to address and need to get past. Especially for the younger generations. Now, I fall into the very beginning bracket of millennial. But I still follow the traits of Generation X. Very confusing when my wife went through psychology in college, and she had this kind of I think there's this portion in her class where they talked about this kind of thing, and even with her job training, because she's customer service related, management and shit, the training that comes with it too explains like how different generations have different behavioral traits. And I think that's a very important thing to recognize, because millennials, they got, as millennial as I was when I was a kid, we didn't get fucking awards for participation. We didn't expect to get shit for free. I worked my ass off as a kid, baling hay and shoveling pig and cow shit and horse shit. And I used to break horses as a kid. And that's not, if you want to have a nice ride on a horse, if you want to go for a ride on a horse and do that, you have to be able to break the horse, feed the horse, and all the work that goes with it. We had three-wheelers and dirt bikes, and if we wanted to have gasoline in them, or if we wanted them to run, we had to work on them, make sure they were in good condition to do so. And so, I don't understand how people try to get past that. They try to recognize it in such a fashion. Well, I have to work at my job to pay for this, but when it comes to my health care, I don't have to work at that. I can just eat avocados or blueberries or whatever pseudo fucking scientific bullshit they want to fucking feed into. And that's not the way the world works. Not even a little bit. And so there needs to be a discussion on this, especially with the younger generations. And yeah, I've noticed with millennials that there's a fair portion that seem to think they need to, that the world should be handed to them. That they don't necessarily have to work for it. Now that's just speaking to the generation, and I don't want to paint anybody with a super broad brush here, but that's speaking to the overall generation. Now I have met millennials. My brother is a full-blown millennial. He was born in 1985 or 6, and he's a working ass man, straight up. Because I'm a truck driver and I sit on my ass all day, he actually technically works a lot fucking harder than I do. And he's military. I have a teenage son who really does have a hard time. I have a teenage stepson who does have a hard time with his job because he works at a gas station. And he deals with just the gnarliest, dumbest, most uneducated people that you could possibly deal with. If you've ever worked customer service, you know what I'm talking about. And it stresses him the fuck out, but he still does it. He works his ass off. And he's new age millennial. He was born in like, what is it? 97 or something? I don't know. 100%. 2000 something or other. Maybe. 2001. No, he's 16 years old. Gonna be. He is 16 or will be 16 soon. And he works his ass off. So I'm not painting this broad brush that these younger kids don't have a work ethic, because there are some that do. But there are a lot. And I mean more than half that honestly don't think they have to fucking do shit. They can live in mommy's basement and play video games all their lives. Because they have no social skills. Because they don't get along with the general society. And that's more of a fault of parenting than anything else. Because parenting is work too. And a lot of people, which is, yeah, they don't take it seriously. People don't take their parenting seriously. I think a lot of people ended up pregnant by mistake, or pregnant under the misconception that having a child was going to be this cakewalk and that it was going to be just this sweet, cute thing and blah, blah, blah. And that's really not how it is, man. Yeah, babies are cute until they spit up on you. Babies are cute until they have one huge monstrous shit that escapes their diaper. Or they turn 3 years old like my daughter did, take their diaper off and smear it all over the wall. They're really cute until they trip and fall and slice their hand open on a piece of glass hiding in the grass. You have to rush them to the hospital. And then it's just heartbreaking. Anyway, I'm going to end this video here. I think I've ranted and raved enough. If you like the video, subscribe, share. I will come out with another video soon. Talk to you later.